thank you so much for attending our first Surrey Board of Trade Digital Networking at Noon, hosted by Neil Squire Society. I'm Anita Huberman. I'm CEO of the Surrey Board of Trade, and we're here this afternoon to do that thing that we always love to do, and that is to build connections, to get to know one another and to network. And very shortly, we're going to go into our respective breakout rooms in a very structured environment that's meant to be meaningful to you, so that you can build your connections, which is a value of your membership with the Surrey Board of Trade. Now, Neil Squire Society, all of their programs, their commitment to social inclusion, economic equity, and productive societies is so important and really so integral during this pandemic and post-pandemic. I'd like to, really thank the Neil Squire Society for their sponsorship of today's session. You're going to hear from them very shortly. But first, I'd like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, specifically the Kwantlen, Katzie, Semiahmoo, and Tsawwassen First Nations. And just to remind you, the Surrey Board of Trade, our whole mandate is to support business and bring business into the city. And we do that through a very diversified service portfolio, through government advocacy, instigating change at all levels of government, being that concierge of connections. And certainly we did that through the pandemic, and we continue to do that. We're one of 9 organizations that sit on the Premier's Economic Recovery Task Force. And yes, we're in that BC election now, so those are on a bit of a hiatus until the election is over. We have had a direct line into the Prime Minister's office to identify gaps and opportunities during the pandemic. And we also developed a Surrey Economic Recovery Coalition with our local BIAs, labor groups, and other groups just to ensure that we're meeting with the City of Surrey on a weekly basis to identify gaps and opportunities. And that's so important, especially as we go into this fall and into this winter, to ensure that not only businesses, but all residents within our city are focused on during this pandemic. And we're all working together as Team Surrey. So just an information point for you. A couple of years ago, we started up a consortium called Startup Surrey. It's part of the Startup Canada initiative to really focus on new businesses as well. Not only existing businesses within our city and our region and our province and in our nation. It's a consortium with the Health and Technology District by the Lark Group, SFU Surrey, KPU, Coast Capital Savings, and so many others, where we are building an innovation precinct within our city. So it's positioned right now at the Health and Technology District across from Surrey Hospital. And we hope to expand that even further throughout our city. Surrey is going to be the largest city in British Columbia very soon, and many of our industries were able to be alive and thriving even during the pandemic. We have the greatest number of manufacturers within British Columbia. They were shipping goods, whether it was locally, provincially, or nationally. We're right on the border, so goods were going back and forth. We have a thriving development and construction sector. So many elements of our economy were thriving, and many were not. And we're working with government to see what kind of support, short-term, long-term, we can provide to those industries as well. It's a challenging time for all of us, but we're here for you as Surrey City Building Business Organization, and we're so pleased that we can bring some form of networking and building those business connections to you. And this is going to be an almost monthly session digitally that we're going to have until we can have in-person events. But now I'd like to turn the digital meeting over to our sponsor, Neil Squire Society. They're a service organization, as I mentioned, that facilitates innovative technology solutions to improve the productivity of people with disabilities. And they are part of our workforce. They are part of our economy. And to tell you more about their programs, please help me welcome Nate Toth, from Marketing Manager of Neil Squire Society.
I get called Neil once a week, and I've been waiting for Anita Huberman to introduce me to the Surrey Board of Trade Group for many years. I'm just going to turn on my timer. I'm so excited to have this opportunity today. The Neil Squire Society is not some new kid on the block. We've been around 36 years. We just celebrated our 36th birthday this summer. Today is the 10th birthday of our distance computer comfort training program. So there's all sorts of celebrations going on. I've got my party hat right here that I was wearing earlier. Yes, I looked completely ridiculous, but that's a whole other story. So 4 main areas that we focus on. Innovation. Anita had already said it. Our executive director is Dr. Gary Birch, former Paralympian, scientist. 20 years ago, started working on a cap, like a shower cap, where you would control computers with your brain waves. Gary's often the smartest guy in the room, but he's the humblest man you'll ever meet. Been awarded the Order of Canada. And so if you're taking notes today, our Makers Making Change website is the place where we do innovation, and it's our new home for our research and development team. And in that program, we're making, one off or dozens off or maybe hundreds off of things that can be printed on a 3D printer. There's a repository electronically where people can upload new plans. It's all open source, so they can modify existing plans or submit new ones for things that help people overcome day-to-day struggles that quote unquote able-bodied people might not struggle with. 2 is computers. If you know somebody 15 to 65-ish self-identifies having a disability and they want to learn more about computers, we'll teach them for free. Our computer comfort program, which is done here in Burnaby, that's shut down due to COVID. So everybody has been transitioned to digital distance computer comfort. So a great donation to our organization is a gently used laptop or desktop that is powerful to run Windows 10. So it needs to be 3 or 4 years old. We'll give you a tax receipt for it. We'll refurbish that computer, and somebody that applies to the program that needs a computer, we'll gift them a computer. Employment programs. Are you looking to hire talent? Would you like to be more inclusive in your employment? We do that. In our offices across the country in British Columbia, Regina and Saskatchewan, Ontario and New Brunswick, we connect employers with people that just happen to have disabilities, can often help the employer with wage subsidies. And if the individual with the disability or barrier requires an assistive technology accommodation, that'll come with them. And then lastly, assistive technology. That's our baby. That's the thing, that's our superpower. So in British Columbia, we've got an amazing program called WorkBC Assistive Technology Services. So who do you know that's employed full or part-time or self-employed that has a barrier caused by a disability, chronic pain, or an old injury? They need ergonomics. They need software because they are in a low vision situation or they're blind. They're losing their hearing, so they need hearing aids or hearing peripherals. This local British Columbia only program, sponsored and produced through WorkBC, can help pay for those accommodations. Every Wednesday from 12:30 to about 1:10, we run a webinar that explains this program in detail. Just email me for information and I'll put that in the chat. Or on the 3rd Thursday of every month, we run the same webinar, but we add about a 20 to 25-minute assistive technology demonstration that really helps people understand some of the high-tech stuff. Now, we've only got a minute left to share with you, so I'd like to introduce Heather Ritchie from our newest social enterprise, Hearing Solutions, here in Burnaby. Heather, give us 60 seconds of what you're doing in Burnaby and Hearing Solutions.
So we see all sorts of clients with hearing related concerns. Some people are more concerned about prevention, just want a baseline hearing test. Other people are worried about hearing loss for themselves or for a loved one. Anyone with hearing related concerns can come for a test. You don't need a referral or anything. Just shoot me an email or give us a call. We also have hearing protection as well. So we have custom earplugs that go in your ears to prevent the hearing loss. Yeah, any questions related to hearing? I'm happy to help.